Social media is not a mystery, it's an opportunity. It's not complicated. It's shareable, which means it has a really high opportunity level, which I think intimidates a lot of us. My goal today is to unravel the mystery of social media, in fact, redefine it a little bit for you, and help you understand a strategy that not only is going to work for you today on the platforms that currently exist, say like Facebook or Twitter, but will work for you over the next 5 to 10 years. I'm going to say this several times, is that social media offers every business, from business to consumer, business to government, business to business, 3 very distinct opportunities. It gives you the opportunity to increase the frequency of your communication to your targets without interrupting them. It gives you the opportunity to optimize your marketing spend and eliminate those cash-heavy marketing efforts. And it gives you the opportunity to position your brand as being on the cutting edge, and that will be very important in the new century, where the average worker, the average top talent, is 28, not 34. In my mind, there are 3 steps to being successful with social media, and the steps are best taken in a particular order. And they're taken in a particular order because each one leads to the next. The first step to success is to tune into the conversation about the problem your company attempts to solve. The second step is to connect with the customers, the influencers, and the targets that matter to your business and engage with them. And the third step is to contribute to the conversation and be helpful. You take these 3 steps and you'll find a serious ROI where you're trading time for money. And in many cases, there'll be a significant savings to your company at the bottom line. Step 1, tune in. Let me dive into this idea. To quote Stephen Covey Sr., and it really works in this scenario, seek first to understand, then to be understood. That's what I tell a lot of businesses who want to jump into the social media pool, is you might want to take a month or 2 to listen. And what I suggest to you is to listen into the conversation and forget about your products and services for a minute and focus on the problem, because that's what people really care about. There's a great saying by Sam Walton, and he used to tell his troops this always in the beginning, and it goes like this: curiosity doesn't kill the cat, it kills the competition. So what I want you to imagine is that you have an opportunity to stand behind the glass and observe the biggest focus group in history at little or no cost. Step number 2, connect. The shortest distance between a prospect and a customer is a human connection. And I believe that social media gives us a remarkable opportunity to talk to people that would never pick up the phone or read a piece of mail that we sent them. Let me give you some case studies to support this idea. Carol Roth runs a consulting group out of Chicago that works with entrepreneurs on securing talent and reducing expenses. She told me that she found out about Desk Elf, a virtual outsourcing company, because they started to follow and engage with her on Twitter. She posts a lot of stuff about entrepreneurism, and Desk Elf started to follow her and retweet her best stuff. She began to depend on the fact that when she posted something that was remarkable, Desk Elf was right there to retweet it. In fact, Desk Elf even started to tweet her new studies she might not have read. She said, and this happens for all of us, at some point you got to check their profile out and see who these people are. She said she went there and she noticed they did virtual outsourcing for research and admin services, and at the time her team was completely overcommitted on 3 big projects, so she hired them. She loved their service, and then about a few months later she went on Chicago Business Television and she promoted Desk Elf to the entire audience, and it had a significant upside to their business. And when I interviewed Desk Elf, here's what they said. They said social media gives us a unique opportunities not just to connect with the spenders of the world, but to understand for the first time who are the senders. You see, what social media gives you the opportunity to do is to size people up for the first time for their influence. You never had that opportunity with customers before. What did you have before? Dun & Bradstreet employee revenue counts? That's not a measure of one's influence, but today with social media, the conversation's totally transparent. Step 3, contribute. This is where I want to give you the final piece of takeaway, and I hope that this is the thing that you really walk out of this room with. If you want to figure out your content strategy for your blog, for Twitter, for Facebook, for LinkedIn, I've got simple advice for you. Be helpful. Solve the problems your customers are trying to solve and don't just focus on your product. If I were to go home and develop a social media strategy, what I would do is I would go home and I would write down the categories of problems that my customers are trying to solve in their business or their personal life. And I would not care whether or not my products address them. In fact, in marketing, we call this surprise and delight, where your thoughtfulness surprises them that you would even care about that problem. So, for example, in one of the markets, a CFO services company approached me and said, how would I do this? I consult with CFOs on software, like which ones they should use. And I said, well, let's diagram this. How many problems do they have? He goes, well, they have technology problems, which makes sense that he would say that. As Abraham Maslow said, if you're good with a hammer, everything's a nail. I said, keep going. You know CFOs. You do business with them all the time. He goes, well, they have a lot of regulatory issues. I said, great. Category 2, regulatory issues. Are there news articles that come out on changes in regulations that impact CFOs? He says, all the time. There's a clutter of them. I said, what other problems do they have? He said, and he's on a roll now, well, they have a lot of turf battles at work, especially in this economy, because they cut budgets and they don't approve resource requests, so they have a lot of political issues. I said, great, political solutions inside companies. Are there articles written about this? He goes, Tim, there's books written about this every year. And I said, do they have any other problems? He says, CFOs love to talk to other CFOs, but it's difficult on LinkedIn because of the way it works. I said, great, so networking services. And he began to understand that he had a four-pronged approach, where 75% of the time, he could produce content that served his core audience, proved his thoughtfulness, and kept him top of mind without over-marketing his services.
For over 15 years, Tim Sanders has been on the cutting edge of new media. He joined as an early-stage employee at Mark Cuban's Broadcast.com, where he produced some of the largest internet events in history. After Yahoo acquired the company, Sanders was tapped to lead the Value Lab, an in-house think tank that studied human behavior and relationships. His first book, Love is the Killer App: How to Win Business and Influence Friends, was a New York Times and global bestseller and was featured in major media around the world. In 2002, he became Yahoo's Chief Solutions Officer, focused on helping companies of all types monetize new media. For the last 5 years, he's consulted with leading companies on how to leverage social media to reduce marketing costs, increase reach, and forge new relationships.
Now let's talk about Facebook, because Facebook users are neurotic. Of all the people I ever know, these are the people that are on the most, and you wonder how they get stuff done. Nearly 1/4 of Facebook users check their account 5 times a day. 10% of Facebook users check their account 15 times a day. What are they doing? Well, here's the typical user pattern. They go on in the morning, they graze a little bit, and then finally they say something. They post a link, they post a picture, they post a political commentary, they say something personal, and then they go back 4 to 15 times to see if anybody responded. In other words, the greatest need in social media is to be heard. Because what social media started out as is a community building tool. I belong to something. And that works for you for like the first 90 days you're on, and then you no longer care about who you went to high school with. You realize why you no longer hang out with them. And what you really want to use social media for is to express yourself. Because we live in a world where people feel a little bit powerless. But social media gives you a sense of power unless you are ignored. Now, here is the takeaway for everyone in this room, regardless of your business. If you want to deepen relationships with your customers, I've got a simple suggestion for you. Comment on and share the content they are the most proud of. That's what I do in my business at NetMinds. I have a target list of customers and influencers that I care about and want to develop a relationship with. I have set up a way to see everything they post, and when they post something that is actually useful, that should be shared, I share it. I retweet it. I comment on it. Frequently, I tweet them back questions to create a conversation. It creates a relationship in the new digital economy, because that's what people want. It makes their heart hurt a little bit when they put up something really awesome and no one likes, shares, or comments on it. That is the #1 thing I tell a lot of people to do. Track, respond, share, build a relationship.